Welcome to Native History, the channel where we look at important topics from the histories of the first people to inhabit the North American continent. Today we'll be looking at one of the most famous characters from all of Native American history, namely Pocahontas. Who was the real Pocahontas? Pocahontas, born around 1596, was the daughter of Chief Powhatan, the paramount leader of the Powhatan Confederacy, which was comprised of about 30 Algonquin-speaking tribes in the Tidewater region of present-day Virginia. Her given name was Amunute, but she was also known as Matoaka. Pocahontas, meaning playful one or mischievous one, was a nickname that described her lively spirit. Pocahontas first encountered English settlers in 1607, when the Jamestown colony was established. She became a vital bridge between the Powhatan people and the English settlers, both as a cultural mediator and as a source of food and supplies during the early years of the colony. At just 11 years old, she reportedly saved Captain John Smith's life when her father was about to execute him. However, the accuracy of this story is debated by historians. As relations between the Powhatan and English settlers deteriorated, Pocahontas' role as a cultural intermediary grew more and more critical. She continued to assist the English with food and supplies, and in 1613, she was captured by the English during a period of hostilities. Pocahontas was held as a bargaining chip to negotiate peace between the two factions. While in captivity, Pocahontas was introduced to Christianity and was baptized with the name Rebecca. She met an Englishman named John Rolfe, who was instrumental in establishing the tobacco industry in Virginia. The two fell in love and got married in 1614, an event that brought a temporary peace between the Powhatan and the English settlers, known as the Peace of Pocahontas. Pocahontas and John Rolfe had a son, Thomas Rolfe, born in 1615. In 1616, the family traveled to England as part of a diplomatic mission to secure financial support for the struggling Virginia colony. During this visit, Pocahontas was presented to English society as an example of a civilized Native American, serving as a symbol of the potential for peace and harmony between the two cultures. While in England, Pocahontas attended numerous events, and even met King James I and Queen Anne. Her presence helped to solidify positive relations between the Powhatan and the English. Despite her fame, she remained humble and committed to her people's welfare. Sadly, Pocahontas' time in England was short-lived. In March 1617, Pocahontas, John Rolfe, and their son set sail to return to Virginia. Tragically, Pocahontas fell ill and had to be taken ashore at Gravesend, England. The exact cause of her illness is unknown, but it's speculated that it could have been pneumonia, tuberculosis, or an infection brought on by European diseases. Pocahontas died in March 1617, at the age of 21, and buried at St. George's Church in Gravesend. Pocahontas' legacy is a complex one. She was a pivotal figure in the early history of the United States. She helped establish peace between the Powhatan people and English settlers, contributing to the survival of the Jamestown colony. Today, she's remembered as a symbol of cultural exchange and cooperation between Native Americans and Europeans. Her story continues to inspire and captivate people around the world. So, what has the attitude towards Pocahontas been in the years since her life? How has her historiography changed? In the years immediately following Pocahontas' death, she was remembered as a symbol of peace and cooperation between the English settlers and the Powhatan people. Her story was preserved through oral histories and written accounts, such as John Smith's General History of Virginia, 1624, which popularized the tale of her saving his life. But these early accounts tended to romanticize her story and portray her as an idealized exotic figure rather than as an accurate representation of her true experiences and cultural context. Throughout the 18th and 19th centuries, the image of Pocahontas continued to evolve as her story was appropriated and reimagined by various authors, playwrights, and artists. She became an emblem of the so-called, quote-unquote, noble savage, a stereotype that depicted Native Americans as inherently virtuous and untainted by the corruptions of European civilization. This perspective tended to ignore the complex realities of Native American cultures and the often violent conflict that ensued between indigenous peoples and European settlers. In the early 20th century, Pocahontas was increasingly celebrated as a national icon and an important figure in American history. Monuments were erected in her honor, and her story was incorporated into the broader narrative of American exceptionalism. This period saw the emergence of the so-called Pocahontas myth, which cast her as a symbol of American unity and progress, a convenient symbol that downplayed the darker aspects of colonization, such as forced assimilation and cultural erasure. During the mid-20th century, the civil rights movement and the rise of Native American activism prompted a critical reevaluation of Pocahontas' story. Scholars and activists sought to challenge the prevailing Pocahontas myth by highlighting the complexities and injustices faced by Native Americans throughout history. They emphasized that Pocahontas' life was marked by cultural displacement, captivity, and the loss of her people's sovereignty. Of course, the 1995 Disney animated film Pocahontas represented a significant milestone in the evolution of Pocahontas' image. The movie aimed to present her story as a tale of love, adventure, and heroism, while also addressing themes of cultural exchange and environmental conservation. But the film faced criticism for its historical inaccuracies, its romanticization of colonialism, and perpetuation of stereotypes about Native Americans. One significant alteration made by the Disney film was the portrayal of Pocahontas as a young adult, rather than the child that she was during her encounters with John Smith. This change facilitated the creation of a fictional romantic relationship between Pocahontas and Smith, which distorted the historical record and reinforced the narrative of the quote-unquote noble savage. The film's focus on romantic love and individual heroism overshadowed the more complex and nuanced aspects of Pocahontas' life and cultural context. In response to the Disney film and ongoing debates about the portrayal of Pocahontas in popular culture, there's been a growing movement to re-examine Pocahontas' life and legacy through the lens of indigenous perspectives. This approach emphasizes the importance of understanding her story within the broader context of Native American history and colonial encounters. This shift has led to a greater appreciation for Pocahontas as a complex historical figure, whose experiences were shaped by the intersection of cultures, power dynamics, and personal agency. Thank you for listening. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe.